Hello, and welcome to the Otaku Clubhouse. And this is Sink or Swim. What is Sink or Swim? Well, it's where we discuss anime, video games, movies, and just about whatever media catches our eye. Then give our first impressions of them. From top to bottom, we give our ratings of a swim, a tread, a float, a drowning, and at worst, a sink. Comments are always welcome, and of course, we're waiting to hear what you have to say too. Let's get into it. We just finished watching the first episode of Mieruko-Chan, or I guess the proper title for it, at least when it was first coming out on Pixiv, was The Girl Who Can See, which is a reference to the main character of this, named Miko, having the ability to see apparitions in grotesque and more frightening manner throughout the series. The first episode starts off in a way of Miko just living her average life, noticing that there's a few strange things in, the surrounding world, and a few things are a little bit off, but as the episode goes on, she comes across more and more of these apparitions, these ghosts, and they're very monstrous and, much like I said earlier, grotesque. That's pretty much it for the first episode in terms of what you really see, but let's get your opinions on this, Gato and Hawkeiser.
Well, I think you see
there's something. Hold on. So this anime is, well, I just wanted to segue into that. This anime is considered a horror anime, right? Like scary, whatever. But I think it's actually considered a horror anime because holy shit, the amount of fan service in this series, coupled with the fact that most of the apparitions, the ghosts and shit, aren't really scary, and even like the scares they set up don't really pay off, makes you think that this is just a straight up ecchi with just like a ghost theme.
Well, I wouldn't say that the ghosts aren't scary. I'd say the ghosts are scary, but it's really hard, and this is a discussion that we'll pick up upon later. I feel like it's difficult to properly convey horror through the medium of anime, specifically. But go ahead, Hawkeiser, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, it had a lot of big, buttery buns and fucking titty meat fillets all over the place, bro. Man, listen. The show, like the ghosts that show up are pretty scary to me. I got jump scared by the first one because I was blinking and then it just shows up with like no sound, so it scared me, right? But at the same time, I was just thinking about fucking what's the main character's name? Miko, yeah, I was just thinking about her fucking thighs crushing my fucking head, dude. Because they show them like 18 times, like in the fucking episode.
And her legs, and her fucking panty line.
So, the actual manga for this started off much like My Senpai is Annoying and, I believe, Uzaki-chan, as a Pixiv manga.
Nagatoro.
I think, yeah, parts of Nagatoro were the Pixiv manga, but yeah. It started off as a Pixiv manga, and it was only, like, the first couple chapters are only, like, 10 pages at the most. When it first started, I was jumping through there. I randomly came across it while scrolling across Pixiv, and there was a bunch of, like, interesting stuff. I thought that the monster designs were pretty good. The art was really rough early on, but as the artist continues, his stuff has gotten infinitely better. The one standout for all of his stuff was the monster designs, the ghosts. I feel like they looked more frightening than just about any other monsters in horror mangas that I've seen. It's very rare that I see like monster designs in mangas where I'm like, that's a really good one. I haven't really seen those probably since Miura, where he would always have like really good, creepy, and like magnificent demons and monster designs, but the artist for this is really good at making scary looking monsters.
I would think the direct comparison would be Junji Ito with his horror manga series. His art isn't good either, and unlike this artist, his art didn't improve over time. I'm not gonna say it's bad, but it's like it's woefully average, but
I mean, you've probably read like the first few chapters. Like by the end, I feel like his art is genuinely very good.
I went and read quite a bit, so yeah, I agree with you.
There are later chapters in which they show some monster designs that have some great details on them that honestly I would say are much better than Junji Ito, but I feel that Junji Ito is better at writing pure horror.
Or he's better at establishing a tone, whereas in Mieruko-Chan, it's just like she's doing something normal with her friends. Oh, we should talk about that too. She's doing something normal with one of her friends or her family members, and then it's like, yeah, I guess I can't see him anymore. And then she turns her head, and this fucking broken neck, vagina mouth girl looking at her, and she's like, I can still see them. Wow, I'm so scared. So yeah, let's talk about the characters. Miko is like the main character. She's kind of
voiced by Aqua, voiced by Sora Amamiya.
Yeah, fucking annoying goddess Aqua. But she is like, her personality is defined. Like, she has the established character of being like not a creepy girl per se, but she's on the borderline. She's definitely like the quiet kid in class, whereas her friend Big Hana is obviously outgoing and stuff like that, and they obviously serve as foils for one another. They also introduced a character in the first episode who doesn't show up till later. I guess because it's an adaptation, you want to make sure all your named characters show up, and she's an Akuma Soul design, obviously. If you should know what we mean by that by now. And,
use your context clues.
Yeah, I don't know. You don't really get to see much aside from the obvious, but the fact that Miko can just like recognize that she's in a bad situation and then just like turn her brain off is kind of smart. It's just like, well, I'll just pretend I don't see the ghost and it's gonna ignore me. Works out that way. That's gonna be the long running joke for like at least a couple episodes. At least
yeah. I'd assume it's going to be probably for at least the first 2, maybe 3 episodes. I'm saying this right now to anybody expecting this story to head up into like some crazy amount of like super deepness. Like, it doesn't ever really get there. No. It's kind of like, I mean this in a good way, it's kind of like a slice of life almost.
Well, you made the comparison.
That's what I was thinking. It was like a slice of life or monster of the week sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like a lot of comedy. I didn't get like the main character actually being in any sort of like trouble.
No, she's clearly in danger, but because she ignores the ghost, then she can keep herself safe.
Yeah, but that's like the comedy. It's not a horror situation, right? It's played for laughs.
It's not, but kinda.
I see what you're saying. It's kind of like the story plays it off a bit more as like a black comedy in a way.
It's kind of like Schadenfreude, because you're just laughing at her pissing herself and being scared, bro.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I can tell you, again, from having had read some of the manga, that there are a bunch of instances coming up in the future where it's like she's in actual real deal danger, which, you know, that kind of brings me back to what I was talking about before. I don't think the anime is going to be able to portray that correctly, because I also don't think that anime has ever properly portrayed horror. I'm saying that right now, and I know that that's a fucking really strong reach.
Not a reach. I mean,
that's a reach.
Hold on. Biases aside, right? So if you get easily scared, then it doesn't matter what medium it's in. But if you're just like the normal, if you're the average horror enjoyer, I don't think there's a scary anime out there. And speaking of Junji Ito, remember how a bunch of his stories got animated? That was just a shitty adaptation.
Well, that's
the art style butcher, but somehow, but also it just wasn't scary.
Well, that's also because they didn't... Well, there's a number of reasons as to why that Junji Ito collection, or whatever they called it, ended up bad. When it comes to Junji Ito's work, it's always better to get taken by surprise. Because Junji Ito spends all this time building up these horrible, uncomfortable, strange scenarios, and then you turn the page and you see this grotesque slug monster fucking throwing up their insides into a knot or something, and it's like, ugh. And that's kind of what this manga is in a way as well. The only difference is with Mieruko-Chan, the story doesn't really pull in that kind of ambiance because, as you've seen, it's mostly Miko walking around in a regular town, in a city. She rarely goes to any locations that are particularly
scary.
Yeah.
I guess this anime will just be added to the annals of not scary anime like Hellgirl and Blood Sea and Higurashi.
Nah, bro, Higurashi was scary.
No, it's not. Come on. Let's not get off derailed too much.
Well, hang on. I do want to talk about this because this is something that I've always thought about. I don't think that anime properly portrays horror. Like, if you were to think of, like, what are the top horror animes, they always end up losing themselves into the idea of becoming a battle anime for the most part. I'm trying, like, for instance, I'm just gonna look this up right now while we're talking, and it's like, oh, what are the top horror animes? Fucking Another shows up on there. Who the fuck watched Another and was scared?
No,
what is Another?
Nothing. It's just, they're all it's Final Destination anime. They're all cursed to die and to kill themselves. Oh, it's so scary. No, it's not. In fucking, what else? The Island of the Giant Insects? No, bro, that's just for weird bug fuckers. God, no.
No, that one is especially just for bug fuckers. Like, I read some of that. I read some of the manga and I was like, this is very much, this is a fetish. This is just a fetish.
But I think that is part of the reasoning behind why the adaptation, because there is like a little, we didn't talk about it too much, but in the manga there is a little bit of fan service, and I think the reason why the anime decided to tone that up is because they know that you can't really make it as scary, like especially for people who already read the manga, and especially when you're doing stuff like using 3D CG for the ghosts and stuff. You're not really like dedicating a lot of animation time to recreating them just right, so you have to do something else, and that's having Miko fucking squat down on the toilet for 2 minutes, then I guess that's what you gotta do.
I'm just here for the titties. I'm not even gonna lie to you, dog. Whenever she's getting like scared and shit, and they start like closing in on fucking panty lines and shit, that's the Kino at work, bro.
And this isn't to say, I get what you're saying, because this isn't to say that the writer for this, I follow him on Twitter, it's not like he doesn't fucking draw stuff like this with the girls. It's just, I think he realizes that his own particular art style isn't particularly conducive to having ecchi, like, directly show off in it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've said a bit. Oh, wait. The opening and then I really like the opening.
I feel like the opening is one of those ones where, and this is just me guessing, do you guys remember Gakko Gurushi? Or
Yes.
School Live?
Yeah.
Where, like, the first opening was like, wacky happy summer, woohoo, everybody's happy. I'm pretty sure that it's gonna do that because it's like, there was enough room in there and stuff like that, and, you know, being me, somebody who's watched a lot of anime, I'm like, I can already see where you can animate in, like, ghosts and stuff. The ending theme was fucking hilarious. There's something about the fucking playing the ghost for, like, laughs and stuff like that.
Did the voice actress sing the opening? Is that,
Yes,
yeah.
Sora Mamiya sings both the opening and the ending theme.
She was like, Yamate, Yamate! Yeah, that's pretty funny. That's about all I got to say.
Hawkeyser.
I want to see more of the big titty bitch, not the main girl, the friend, cause like her fucking tits were like fucking watermelons, dude.
Focus.
That's her
Nigga,
entire
I'm
character.
focusing. What else am I gonna talk about? The fucking, we already said the ghost.
You already said the titties three times, bro.
Okay, nigga. It's alright. Listen, it's a simple anime. It's like Or at least that episode was like really simple.
So give your
Bitch
score.
got scared 4 times, or was it 3 times?
So give your score.
I mean, I'm a smooth brain ass nigga, so I watch it. It's a swim for me, bro. I watch it alone with a bottle of fucking lotion, nigga.
You're just gonna watch it with a bottle of lotion and the fucking monster's gonna pop on screen and you're just gonna squirt it all over the fucking computer monitor? What?
For not entirely different reasons, I also give it a swim. Because it's not just because of the fan service. Come on, bro. There's actually, at the risk of sounding like a Twitter nigga, there's too much fan service, but I'll keep watching. So a swim for me as well.
That actually surprises me a lot out of the both of you. Especially considering the fact that, like, I'm the one who's probably the most fan of this series.
That's exactly why you're gonna do what you're about to do.
I'm gonna have to give it a fucking... I can't give it anything less than a float. If I were to, like, be with my fucking, you know, fan brain, I'd probably drop it down at least one more notch to a drowning, but I have to leave it at a float. And the reason is, it's not at all badly animated. The art style, despite the fact that it's very focused on Miko's thighs and her fucking hips and shit like that, isn't bad. The songs are fine. I actually think that the directing for the first episode, the first half of the first episode, was really good. Because there was tons of instances where they just used no music at all. And they decided to let the idea of what was going on in Miko traversing the school breathe all on its own, along with the lighting and the everything in there. It looked good, and they played it correctly. Hell, it gave me like old Hellgirl vibes of that era. So I can't say too much bad things about it, but I can't give it anything more than a float. Maybe someday there'll be an anime that can do horror correctly, but I don't think this is going to be the one.
I'll make it be about being an African American visiting Japan for the first time. Anyways, what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. Like the video. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I'm pretty sure only 1% of our views come from actual subscribers. I didn't look that up. I'm just making this shit up. Anyways, we'll see you guys in the next...
Don't pull back the curtain.
Sink or swim. See you.
Jump scare.
Goodbye, everyone.
Put a jump scare in the video.
No!